Okay, Chris has a lot of Google. You don't.
Yeah.
Are
I'm
you
I'm
planning
not a
to get some
believer.
Google?
I'm not a believer. I think Chris should sell that before he loses more money.
Wow.
And no, so okay, here's the thing.
Chris, he said you're stupid for buying Google, bro. That's literally what he just said.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. They hold the biggest castle on the hill, and defending it is extremely hard. And they're in second place whenever it comes to defending it. And even if you have to, even if they make a better AI and a better search engine, I just realized, is this actually what we want to talk about? But I'm not on a fintech podcast anymore, so I guess we can. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very expensive to run these large language models. Even if you run one that's trained in very small subsections, the idea of multiple paper clips versus one large paper clip, so it's cheaper to do it in certain ways, but it's still more expensive than how they're running it today. And
we use YouTube, Tanner, all of us, and that's part of Google.
Yeah. Oh, perfectly fine. That makes up a small portion of their revenue. And what people don't consider is that, 60+% of their revenue is, specifically in search. And out of all the fintech companies, they're the least diversified. They run
They're not
massive.
Fintech. They're not fintech. Just
sorry.
taking a step back. Sorry.
Yeah. I said fintech. Out of all the FANGs is what I meant to say. Out of all the FANGs, they're the least diversified. I think that search has been the most profitable business than any other business maybe ever in history. And it's going to get disrupted, and there will be many players in this space, and they're going to do it more efficiently to the point where you don't even need as many queries. So that's another thing too, is that I think that Google search could be better, and they choose not to, so then they can have multiple searches.
You're not wrong on that, Chris. I've been using ChatGPT all week, and it's been amazing.
Oh, guys, have you not seen ChatGPT 4? You could take a picture of your fridge and then ask it what recipes you can make out of the ingredients in the fridge.
Pretty crazy.
Get off the idea that you're going to keep doing Google search. It's like one of those things, like the first investors of Amazon, and they go, okay, why aren't people doing this to buy their books? If you think people are walking back into an Indigo or another bookstore, you're done. It's moving on. We're going to AI for all search queries.
Okay, Tanner, do you have a hard stop at 11?
No, I want to hear Chris's rebuttal, and then I'll get going.
Okay, wait. So, okay, Chris is going to give you a rebuttal. Like, when do you have to actually go? Like 11:10, 11:15? Can you?
Yeah, like 11:05. Let's go. Chris, do you not think that it's much easier for companies like Microsoft to pick away at Google's fortress? You know what I mean? The 300 million new users that are using ChatGPT, do you think that has no effect to Google's search engine? Or do you think that the pie will grow regardless?
All right, Tanner, before he answers, just be prepared to stay for another 10 minutes because Chris is going to
Okay, go ahead.
All right, Chris, go ahead.
So I think, number one, the pie is growing. All right. AI is a very new industry when it comes to certain things, and we're still discovering use cases for it. Google was actually the pioneer of a lot of the stuff that we're seeing, right? To say that they don't know how to capitalize on AI is woefully ignorant of the way that Google operates. Do I think that they had some bloat in their operating structure? Yeah. And they're dealing with that by doing their layoffs. They're getting rid of workers that don't necessarily.
No, but Chris, I want to be very specific. Yeah. That's not Tanner's argument. His argument is search is dead. That's his argument. Google has the most market share.
My argument's not the fact that Google can't, I think that they could be the best AI, but I think even if they are the best, that's going to hold less margins than what they're holding today. So you still should sell.
Well, how do you know that? How do you know that AI, that other verticals are not going to form around Google and they'll be able to monetize that? The key is monetizing the verticals that you get into. It's not necessarily just creating a great product. It's also creating verticals around monetization. That's where Google has always been more successful than a lot of other companies. So I would say to you that we're seeing that there is a new industry developing. Google still has its foothold on the old industry that's being slowly disrupted, but at the same time, they actually have the ability to get into these newer verticals and profit from that. So I would say
do you think, you just said slowly disrupted, do you think that the fastest growing software ever in history is slowly disrupting Google?
Good point.
No, I would say that search itself is still a growing pie that's slowly not as profitable as what it was before because there's less use. To think that search is completely done is completely false. Like, I don't think people are like, oh, you know what? I used to use Google every day and now I don't use Google at all. Like,
No,
no,
but
it means
Tanner's argument is that a slight
Yeah.
decrease hurts Google because they own basically 100% of it. That's the argument.
They're pricing for growth, or that's at least what I believe.
with a PE,
And
what's their PE right now? That's pricing for growth. Can you tell me what that is?
but
Yeah.
I'll check, I'll check.
that goes to prove my
Yeah.
point that look at the actual drawback on Google in the last little bit because people are worried about exactly what I'm pointing out. You know what I mean? The market.
Well, that's where
I forget the day that they released their Bard AI and the stock went down 8%. This is an unbelievable move for one of the largest companies in the world, and
So I
people
think-
don't see that as a massive red flag.
So I think that in itself was definitely a big mistake, but that's not unusual for LLMs. LLMs are not to the point where they're fallacy free. There's still a
PE of
lot of
19.
fallacies. Yeah. So you got a PE of 19 with a company that's got almost $120 billion in cash right now with free cash flow growing like crazy with $100 billion a year, nearly $100 billion a year in share buybacks. Really? Come on, guys, just use logic. Math is on the on Google's side at this point.
Tanner, this is
You
an
know.
interesting argument. Coach Up says GPT relies on humans for its baseline. We're moving to AI generated content, but it has to be human verified. Google could absolutely kill Microsoft via partnerships that wall the garden around human verified content because Microsoft wouldn't be able to keep up with creating that human verified content.
Yeah, I mean, like, who knows, right? I mean, there could be some sort of thing where I know a couple of companies were coming out and suing, or not suing, but going after OpenAI, saying that you can't use our content
Yeah.
in your LLMs.
Yeah.
So that could be a problem. And then Google could do some sort of thing where if it's on YouTube, part of the partnership or something along these lines is that no, we can use you in our systems. People would still check that box in the terms of services and these sorts of things.
The
But
one
I
thing
just-
I'm just gonna address real quick is Google is not diversified. Yes, a lot of their revenue comes from search, but they've got a lot of varying businesses out there that are
that
multi-baggers,
make
in
up
my opinion.
the tiniest portion of their revenue.
Right, but they're actually able to monetize and grow those. Like, here's an example. Like, today's rally was probably supported by an increase in YouTube TV prices, right? YouTube TV, I used to think like, oh, maybe like one or two people have. There's a lot of people have YouTube TV. There's a lot of people that have YouTube Premium. Do you guys have YouTube Premium?
Yes.
Here,
I do.
So there you go. Right there is a business that now doesn't rely nearly as much on advertising anymore. Now you have subscription-based
But the
fees
same
that are coming in. Yeah.
the same argument that you have a problem with, and I'm not saying Google won't survive. Google can be a thriving business, but if you think they're going to grow
So
through
yes,
acquisition
they're
and
a
these sorts of things, just buy Oracle or something.
So right there, they're a thriving business. You just said it yourself with a PE of
Yeah,
19.
but I'm not saying, but I'm saying they are not a great stock. There's a difference. I think that people are still expecting growth from Google, and I don't think it's coming. I think it's the same problem that you have with SoFi. You know, the majority of their business is under fire, except the difference is a small company can take those risks. Google cannot take those risks. You know what I mean? And it's so funny that you like that stock so much, because I find that the go woke, go broke thing kind of plays pretty heavily into Google as well.
No. So Google, in my opinion, is definitely one of those companies that prescribes a lot to that ideology. But one good thing about Google is that they have executives and leadership in a position where the ultimate decisions are always going to be driven by shareholder returns and shareholder profitability. That's always the case. Everyone is woke. Everyone is woke when things are really good, but the minute that things go sour, wokeness gets thrown out the window. Look at Zuckerberg and Meta, right? It doesn't matter right now with, oh yeah, you know what? We have initiatives around X, Y, and Z. Zuckerberg's like, no, we are going to get efficient. We're going to get lean, and we're going to make the decisions.
And we're going to get rid of NFTs.
Yeah, whatever you have to do to get to a point where you are in a better position. I think that's the key with a lot of the Silicon Valley giants. Like, and that's the reason they are where they are right now. And to think that Google's days are the best of Google's days are behind it, that may be the case where they're not growing as fast as they were in the past. But look at their valuation now. They are a value
Coach
company.
says he literally sat through a PowerPoint that showed a model of the Google traffic for whatever company he's at going to zero, because with every AI answered search, The content creator that supplied the input to train the model, how to answer that question, dies. I mean, Tanner's got a point here about AI search kind of disrupting the entire.
I don't think Chris is saying that I don't have a point.
I agree. I agree with some of the points that Tanner is making. All I'm trying to say is, look at Warren Buffett. I'll give you go back to like Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett.
If you're taking this much of a risk, you better get a better valuation than pricing in this much growth.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. That they are generating a shit ton of cash. They have shit ton of cash in the bank right now that they're using to support the business itself in terms of valuation. Even if they flatlined on growth, just their share buybacks alone make it a value proposition.